Hi everybody, I recently got a comment from one of the women in our Bible study that I think many of us can relate to. She said, "Sometimes when I share my heart with God, I feel embarrassed or guilty or shameful for being upset over something. Embarrassed for not having it together. I feel like I fail the test, so to speak, so many times." Have you ever lifted your head from prayer and wondered, did I say too much or was I too emotional? Because you are not alone. I've seen this over and over again in the women I coach in our Christian mental wellness community. But what if the moment you feel most exposed isn't your greatest failure? What if it's the place where God is doing his most powerful work? Let's shift our perspective because I think this might be the very thing that the enemy is using to isolate many of us, and the very thing that God wants us to use to restore ourselves. All right, so I'm going to be sharing 3 shifts with you guys today. Shift number 1 is that moment of emotion doesn't define you, God does. You are not failing the test. You are simply showing up. You're not being dramatic. You're being honest. And that raw moment that you're embarrassed about, that doesn't define who you are at all. God already has. You are his daughter, chosen and loved. One emotional moment isn't the sum of your story. It's a snapshot of a much greater redemption arc. James 5:16 says, "Confess your faults one to another and pray for one another that ye may be healed." And here's the beautiful part. Healing doesn't begin when you get it all together. And we've spoke about this a little bit before. It begins when you stop pretending that you do have it together and accept that you need God to get through these moments. Shift number 2 is conviction isn't weakness, it's strength rising up. A while ago, I was on a call with a woman in our community. She started crying, and I noticed that she immediately apologized. She was like, "I'm so sorry for crying. I don't want to come off as dramatic." And I stopped her right there and I said, "Please do not apologize because I see your conviction. That's not weakness. It's strength waking up. It takes courage to be tender in a world that tells you to toughen up." The truth is, God's strength isn't revealed through our polished prayers and well-rehearsed answers. I often find my own self in prayer asking the Lord to lead me because I don't have any idea where to go. Or, "Lord, I need your strength to pull me through a moment where I quite frankly don't even know why I'm upset, but my emotions are running amok." 2 Corinthians 12:19 or 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for thee, my strength is made perfect in your weakness." Your tears, they're not signs of failure. They're evidence that you're pressing into places that God wants you to heal. And shift number 3, you were never asked to be perfect, only present. Who taught you that vulnerability is failure? Was it a parent who praised composure but ignored cries? A church culture that honored the woman who served through burnout but ignored the one who fell apart at the altar? A world that told you that emotions are messy and weakness makes you unlovable? God never said that. Jesus didn't turn away the woman who wept at his feet. He called her forgiven. He didn't avoid the broken. He made a home with them. So why are you trying to earn a love that is freely given? Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He didn't say, "Come when you've composed yourself." He said, "Come as you are." So the next time your thoughts start spiraling with things like, "I'm too emotional. I should be over this by now. I'm probably just a burden," pause and ask yourself, whose voice is that really? Because God's voice doesn't shame, he invites, he comforts, he restores. Let's reframe that self-talk with some truth. Instead of, "I'm too emotional," say, "My emotions are God-given indicators, not disqualifiers. They show that I care deeply and that I am present in this moment." And instead of, "I should be past this," say something like, "Conviction is a sign that I'm still growing. I'm not behind. I'm being refined." A little bit of a rhyme there. And instead of I'm a burden, say I'm seen, valued, held. God walks with me here and he is not ever backing away. Because the enemy's greatest fear is not your failure. It's your freedom and your healing and your refusal to hide. You don't have to carry that old script anymore. Let the voice of truth be louder. So if you're in a place where you feel like I should have it together by now, pause and take a deep breath and remind yourself that God meets you right here. And drop a comment. Where are you being too critical of yourself? And if you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We share practical biblical content every week to strengthen your walk, and we are on a mission to provide discipleship to over 1 million people, and every single one of you matters. If you're in need of more support, you can find all of our links, including the Christian mental wellness community, in the description below. Bye for now.